So good day, friends. This is Dr. Bob Hamilton, and you have tuned in today to the Hamilton Review, where kids and culture collide. So before we begin our show today, which by the way is an extremely important and very special show for me to tape, I just want to say, first of all, thank you all for tuning in. It means a lot to me that you have taken part of your day to spend on my podcast. And as I tell you every week, I do my best to bring great people in front of the microphone who have lots of good ideas and thoughts and fun things that they're doing. So and today, by the way, is no exception. But thank you for tuning in. If you like what you hear, please share this with your friends and your family. The reason is because I am building a listenership, and not for me, but for the people I bring on my show. They need to be heard, and today is definitely no exception because today I get to introduce to you a part of my family. And our guests today are two, actually, Peter Hamilton, my son, and his wife, Clara. So Peter and Clara, welcome to the Hamilton Review.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks, Dad. This is fun. Really fun.
You are so welcome, and I'm glad we were able to track you down with your busy lives that you're both living. So, as everybody who listens to the show knows, before we start kind of getting into the meat of the conversation, we like to ask the guests to introduce themselves. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, Peter and Clara.
Great.
You guys, and just tell a little bit about who you are, your life, the fact that you have 4 kids, and I'll let you take it from there.
Thanks, Dad. So I'm Peter. This is my wife, Clara.
Thank you for having us.
Son of Dr. Robert Hamilton, as we've established. I'm an architect, practicing architect. Started my office in the LA area in Santa Monica. And now we've kind of slowly migrated north, and we now live in Ventura County, but still doing a ton of work in LA and all around LA. And Claire and I have known each other for a long time. We've been married for, 14 years.
14.
Something like that. And we have 4 really great kids, 10, 8, 6, and we had a little surprise baby a year and a half ago.
She's almost 2.
A 1-year-old. So that's kind of who I am, and I guess we're here today because we're starting to kind of a new venture together called Loam Blocks, which we like to talk about. But sorry, babe, I cut you off. You need to introduce yourself.
Oh no, I think you did a fine job. We both grew up in the LA area. Peter grew up in the Palisades in Santa Monica, and I grew up in Culver City. We actually both went to high school in Santa Monica and met there, and we both went to Pepperdine and eventually did a lot of moving around as we started our professional lives. And we were both teachers for a bit, and Peter did architecture school, and I did educational counseling school. And after we got our master's, we ended up back in LA, and we've been in LA Ventura ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're really excited for Peter starting this blocks company because this is something that's worked really well for our family, and we are excited to share it with other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can transition into kind of how this all started. As an architect and a designer, I've always been someone that has, interested in building and designing and crafting. And that's always been, an interest of mine. And even growing up, having that be part of my life, I think really influenced why and how I became an architect and designer. Was through playing with blocks or playing with Lincoln logs or building tree forts in the backyard. Kind of that very tactile play, I think, has played a big role into kind of my career choice. And as Claire was saying, we've kind of moved around. I went to school at University of Oregon, got my graduate education up there. And while I was in architecture school, friends and family started, we got to that age of life where now all of our friends are getting married and starting to have kids. And particularly, my siblings started having kids. And so excited about this new chapter in our family's life and, hope soon to be our life. I started thinking about, wow, I remember when I was a kid, I used to, have this amazing opportunity and access to great toys, and was such a, formidable, special time in my life. My first thought and the inception of this project was, I would love to figure out how to give some cool toys to my siblings and their kids. And I couldn't find any that I liked. And I referenced, Lincoln Logs was kind of my first reference of like, all right, it's a wood block, it's a wood toy, it's going to last a million years. But I don't want to go buy a bunch of Lincoln Logs. I want to make my own kind of block that's similar to that. And then that was really the inception of the Loam block, project. I started sketching some ideas and really quickly came upon a very simplified interconnecting block that I felt like had a lot of possibility and a lot of opportunity to kind of make something really cool and fun. And that first set I think I made in the shop at grad school with a miter saw and a drill press. And I gave Nate a bunch of blocks for his, he was 2 or 3 years old or something at the time, for Christmas. And it was kind of just a fun throwaway idea and throwaway concept. But for whatever reason, it never left me. And then we moved back to LA and started having our own kids. And it kind of came back to me like, hey, I should make some more blocks again because now I have kids and I want my kids to have a similar experience. We're playing with, natural materials that are, it's not, this oversaturated plastic everywhere. It's nice to hold. It's fun to build. And I think once that started, it, many years of building them in my garage for my kids, and really, again, keeping it very internal. I never really thought of it beyond just, presents for friends and family. But the more and more I started developing it, the more and more people kept coming over to our house and saying, oh, where can I buy those? And I go, well, you can't. I made them in my garage. And people have been really encouraging me the last couple of years to go, this is actually a pretty cool product. We would love some. And I was about 2 years ago where we decided finally, like, all right, we'll jump in.
We'll do it.
And so I spent 2 years developing this product.
Let me interrupt for a second here. So listen, I am Peter's father. And I do want to kind of underline a couple of things. First of all, when Peter was a kid, he was very tactile. He did like building, definitely Lincoln Logs were one. He was also a Legos guy. He spent hours and hours of time dealing with Legos. And to a degree, your little blocks that you're calling Loam, Loam, the Loam company. We'll get to that name in a minute. But Peter spent hours and hours and hours just kind of dinking around building Lego structures and also Lincoln Log structures. And also we had, if you remember, Peter, we had those kind of bigger blocks that you would play with.
Yeah.
And by the way, do you know
and
the
Tinker
origin?
Toys?
Tinker Toys. But do you know the origin of the bigger blocks that we have? I don't know if you knew this or not. But when we had those for a long time, and those came out of we actually bought them from a like a lumber mill, and we had them, and they were like planks of wood that we just had cut up.
Right.
And it was very. I mean, we were kind of poor at that point in time. We couldn't afford much, and so we just basically made these blocks ourselves. So you're kind of falling into a kind of a
I remember that story. Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, that's right. It's very similar.
And that was for Josh, actually, really, and Josh and the other kids too. So anyway, that being said, you did spend a lot of time just doing that, but you also built forts. And the thing I remember really was when you built that skate.
My half pipe.
You wouldn't call it a park, but what would you call it?
It was a half pipe. I built a half pipe skateboard ramp in the backyard. I think I was in 3rd grade.
I think I don't know how old you were.
And Peter, somehow I had power saw. I had saws that were powered, and you guys let me build a ramp by myself with power tools in 3rd grade. But I made it through, which is good.
So
But
our kids
no,
have boxes.
I've always been that person where, get an idea and then make it happen and make it work and build it. And again, I think that's there's a very natural progression from that to wanting to be an architect and wanting to be a designer and loving to see kind of, these conceptual ideas built in real space in real time for people
Yeah.
to enjoy. And I don't think Loam is much different than that. I think it really is. I think it began as a thought of saying, hey, I'd love to kind of give people opportunity to experience something and play with something that's really can be really joyful and really kind of really fun. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's been our experience
And
with the blocks, with our own kids.
So,
It's been a
yeah,
real gift.
just to
Clara,
jump in, yeah.
tell us a little bit about the name Loam, because I
Okay.
think that was a name that both of you kind of decided, you kind of came up with together. So I'm curious about that.
Yes. Well, we love the name Loam. We were inspired to use it after reading some books with our kids that just mention the word loam and these really beautiful passages. And loam is that nutritious, rich soil from which plants grow and thrive, right? It's the most nutritious earth. And so we feel like that's what these blocks are for our family. They're a rich foundation to build creativity, to build imagination. And we actively feel like we see our kids' brains growing and developing as they're playing. As they're building, they'll build little cathedrals or Dodger Stadium or the Eiffel Tower, whatever they're building. They're growing, and as they're finished, then they get out all their little guys and their little toys, and they start talking to themselves and creating imaginary worlds. And we feel like Loam is just the appropriate name for that foundation that from which we've seen so much creative growth.
And also kind of
Mhm.
another kind of play on that word is that, from the very beginning, we wanted this to be I know this word is thrown around a lot, but a sustainable effort, right? So we really didn't want to do plastics. We really didn't want to do anything that that was in a way harmful to the environment or to kids when they're touching it or putting it in their mouth. And so, that concept of loam, this idea of coming from the earth or being part of the earth, is actually really kind of, um, a driving thread for Loam in our pursuit. And as we've developed
Yeah.
this product, that's been kind of at the forefront. Like we've had opportunities to do this overseas or had opportunities to do it with different kinds of products that maybe weren't as sustainable or as clean as just pure wood. But we very actively avoided that because, I think, again, that the idea of nutrition coming from the earth, we felt like Loam has another meaning of like, this is a product that is coming from the earth, and when it's done, and when someone is done playing with our blocks, will quietly go back into the earth and not be a problem when it does so. So that was another big thing for us. So it's kind of a double meaning in a way. I think Loam kind of encapsulates a lot of our principles.
Right. The other thing too, you said to me in our pre conversation here is all U.S. based.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump's tariffs are not going to knock you guys out of the box.
So far, we have not been affected by the tariffs, which is good. But yeah, so everything is made here. Sorry, babe. Everything is sourced and made in the U.S. We've partnered with a manufacturing company out of Milwaukee, and they're handling the entire process, and we've been developing with them for almost 2.5 years, and they've been a great partner, a manufacturing partner with us. But yeah, all the wood is sustainably harvested from forests in Wisconsin, and all the steel is sourced in the U.S. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
We also, just along with that kind of sustainable mindset, a huge piece of it is that we want this to be a product that lasts for generations and generations. And both Peter and I have grown up with blocks in our family. I mean, my mom has blocks that were my grandmother's grandmothers that we play with at my mom's house. And you can do that with wood toys. They might get a little dented here and there after several years, and they just are more beautiful and have more character after that. So we're excited to have something that will last. I mean, we all know of children's toys that you get it and you either can't wait till the kid turns their back and you can purge it, or we know it'll only last a few days because it's plastic or it's going to break or whatever it is. And we like to have toys that when they're out on the floor, they can stay out on the floor. They're still pretty. They're still, they're still beautiful. It's still a beautiful texture. It's still natural wood. It's still nice to have around. It's not something that is plastic that the second it's dented, I can't wait to recycle it. And so I think we're really excited about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually a big part of it, is that, there's a value in being able to use a product, in any kind of product, that has a lasting quality, right? I think you approach it differently and you think about it differently. It's not just this single use or, a handful of uses and then toss it away. For the things that we value, that we know can last and will last, I think we put a different there's a different mindset about how you consume products in that way. And I think that's a big part of what we've tried to achieve, is that really lasting quality. And look, these, whether you like it or not, these blocks will last literally generations. I mean, it's made out of, solid American maple that is, hard as rock, just about, and beautifully cast steel that, you'll be able to give to your grandkids and they'll be able to give to their grandkids. It's pretty cool. It's really great.
Also, the blocks are carved of one piece of wood.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting into the weeds a little bit, but the blocks are monolithic. You can see that they have little buttons on them, and then they have little button locks on them. So they're kind of interconnected, very much like Lego in that sense. Obviously a different scale and different material and different detailing, but we very, 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 very specifically didn't want to do any kind of movable parts or removable parts or inserted parts in our blocks. We wanted them to be a monolithic product. So this is all carved from a single block, meaning it can't break, a part can't fall out of it, a kid can't be chewing on it and swallow something that it shouldn't, right? So it's
one piece.
It really will last forever until you throw it into the fire, which is really cool, which is really fun. And the older, Clara already mentioned it, but the more you play with it, the more your oils of your hands start changing the colors of the wood, the more the dents start giving more character. And we have prototypes, 5-year-old prototypes in the house that have just this beautiful, rich character to them. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a cool concept. With growing old with a product is pretty cool, I think. And I think few and far between. Again, this all started because we couldn't find the toys that we wanted for our kids and our friends' kids.
So let me interrupt again, and ask you. Okay, so is maple from, you said, Michigan or Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah, it's all forested in Wisconsin tree farms and forests that are sustainably
And
harvested.
is it treated? Is it treated?
No, zero. There's no treatment. It is no wax, no stain.
No fillers.
Nothing. It is raw wood that you could put in your mouth and suck on all day, and you wouldn't get anything bad from it. And again, that's very intentional. Part of it is a tactile nature. Obviously, part of it is a safety idea and concept of not putting bad, exposing ourselves and our kids to potentially toxic things.
Not even any oils. Yeah.
But there's something amazing about holding untreated raw wood. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I might be getting a little bit too esoteric by saying that, but there's something really, really satisfying about holding a natural product that has no sheen to it or no gloss to it or no wax treatment to it. It's an enjoyable product to hold and touch. It's very I don't know, what's the word, babe? Soothing? No, that's not the right word.
It's also really pleasing to play with because it's not like Legos where they are stuck together and you've got to kind of pry them apart. They are only held together by gravity. So there's something that it's just very pleasing as you're building it. They fit together perfectly, but they're not stuck. That brings in other things we love about the blocks, that it really becomes a real engineering task as we're playing with the blocks. Our kids are learning about cantilevering and levers and what's gonna actually work as they build this real building. And when you demo the buildings, it's like
really
a
fun.
real building, and that they really can fall over. And it's not just a piece of plastic that falls down.
Yeah.
It's all stuck together.
So the kids, of course, the demo is half the
demo is half the
That's
fun.
a big part of it.
Yeah. That's really, really fun.
So, okay, I do want to get in the weeds a little bit. So, in terms of because I know that you guys are planning on launching very soon. I do know that you have different kits, like a kit for different like a New York City kit, I think an Amsterdam kit, and different kits that mimic, and I think you alluded to this, Clara, that they mimic some of the great architecture of the world. So your kids are going to be, and you actually have little. I mean, they don't have to follow this all the time when they build them, but you can actually build like a building that looks like a building in Amsterdam. Okay, so tell us kind of how that goes, and I'll let you take it from there.
So being an architect and being very very much surrounded by and influenced by architecture specifically, I think it was natural for me to kind of lean into that as we started designing this product, to kind of reference that part of my life. So we have, like you said, there's 3 cities that at launch we'll have 3 cities, and be referencing 3 cities: Amsterdam, London, and New York. And within each of those cities, we have 3 sets or kits that will make up, there's 3 different houses with an Amsterdam influence, 3 different houses with New York and London, and so on. What I think is actually unique about these kits and about Loam is there's so many great wood block products out there, and there are a million of them, and we love them, and we have a ton of them in our house. What I think is really cool about the Loam specifically is that it's not so abstract. It can be abstract, and it is a kit of parts that is, maybe an abstract kit of parts that puts together something, but the final product is something really relatable and very specific, and it references something very specific. So, our Amsterdam houses, if you were to see the image of the kit, there's no question that is a building from Amsterdam, right? And I think there's something really satisfying about removing a little bit of that abstract nature of the building block. And I think Lego does kind of a hyper version of this, where like you can build a Hogwarts castle with Legos. There's something really nice about knowing that you're working toward a tangible goal, if that makes sense. Building something that it's going to look like this image that you have in your head of what it's supposed to look like. So I think there's something really, really cool and unique about that. I've had a hard time finding any wood block product that does, if I may say so, does that as well as we're doing with our kits. I also think, from a more marketing standpoint with toys, the people who deal with toys are parents and kids. Kids play with them, and parents have to deal with them, right? So what Clara was saying is, when the blocks are out in the living room, they're not necessarily something that you're just dying to put away because they're ugly and they're in the way, and guests are coming over. Oh my gosh, get these toys out of here and get out in the living room. What's cool about the Loam product is when it's built, it can live on the mantle in your living room. It can always be present because it is very beautiful, and it's natural product, and it's natural, has natural textures and colors. And again, it's recognizable as something that anybody could reference and recognize. It's not this abstract sculpture. So again, you can play with it in that way, and our kids often do, and it's really fun to take it that way. But I think as a kit, what we're presenting is a very, very strong architectural reference, and I think that makes it really unique. And
So,
again, my
so,
connection to architecture, makes a lot of sense when you do that.
so Peter, I'm just going to reference real quickly. Over is actually Peter's right shoulder, but it looks just on the left side of the screen, is a building in the back that you guys have, and there it is. I can see it from
Yeah,
here.
yeah. If you walk around our house, we're getting ready to ship a lot of product, and so we have to build them up and make sure all the pieces are there before we can throw them in a box and ship them out. So if you
Yeah.
walk around our house, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of little houses everywhere, wherever we can find space for now. And
but like Peter's saying, that's also not unusual in our house. We
Yeah.
will often we'll have some Loam blocks on a bookshelf that one of our kids, kind of made a 2-story house. And over the week, it might evolve into a 4-story house with, all kinds of odds and ends sticking out.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of evolve throughout the week to be, it'll be the Coliseum, by the end of the
But
week.
it's okay because it's not neon pink and it's not, it's not these oversaturated kind of like clashing colors. It's a beautiful wood product that actually, matches the furniture, and it's a really pleasant thing to look at and a pleasant thing to be around.
And a huge piece for our family as we're trying to nurture real creativity in our kids, is that we really believe in imitating great art. So imitating classic art, timeless art, whether it's painting, drawing, architecture. We love having our kids, draw what they see, practice building some great piece of architecture. And this is just another piece of that, where we like to have our kids practice doing something that has been great, learn from the greats, and learn those skills. And then we also believe in the more open-ended play. So we love both. We actually very passionately believe in both. We need that imitation of timeless, outstanding, great art to develop skills. And then we also want our kids to have open-ended, make something from nothing, learn how to be a self-starter, that open-ended kind of blossoming creativity. And we really passionately believe in both.
And I think you can take the skills that you learn from copying something that's already great, and you can, with those skills, when you're given a blank canvas, you can reference those skills to start, your open-ended play and open-ended creativity. And we're getting, maybe a little bit too psychological and educational there, but that's really, I think, a big selling point of our blocks is that it's fun to play with, it's beautiful to play with, but I think it also is it's helping our kids build a strong foundation of problem solving, of, like Clara said, make something from nothing, do something without being prompted to do something. So create your own solution to a potential problem without someone telling you what you have to do or where to do it. And that kind of muscle memory, I hope will develop. And then as our kids get older and as we get older, we'll be able to kind of reference that I guess, muscle memory to deal with other things with life. It's not just about play or just about building blocks. It's about,
So I think that, one of the words that we talked about before we started was the word heirloom. I mean, these really are like an heirloom. And I think that is something that's what you're really doing. You're providing your kids obviously with something that it does create, if you will, creativity. You're kind of laying a foundation that they can build creatively upon. But I love the idea of the heirloom that you alluded to this, Clara, a little bit before, how your grandmother's toys are still being used by you. That to me is very meaningful. That sense of continuity of life, the idea that things that were interesting 100 years ago are still can be fascinating and interesting now. I do have one. I'm watching our time, and I know that you have meetings to go to, you guys. So we're gonna end this.
No, we're fine. No, don't feel pressure. We're good.
You're good. I do have one very important question. So, in the middle of the night when you're walking into the kitchen barefoot, if you step on these blocks, they don't hurt, do they?
No,
Have
not
you
at
ever?
all.
Yeah. Okay. So they actually they're
I've done it.
yes.
I've done it a few times, and it's not fun. So just
Yeah.
map out your path to the sink,
Yeah. We try to clear a walkway.
and you'll be fine. But yeah, no, there's a lot of things if you step on will hurt you. Our
Okay.
blocks are. It's not unique to our blocks,
No,
but yes,
okay.
make sure you don't do that.
Because
But we do it
I
very
still,
often.
I know, I mean, honestly, I'm sweating because I remember times when I would, walk around and I hit like a toy, whatever the toy was.
Yeah,
And it was like, it would send, this impulse into my brain that was like, I wanted to swear, but I didn't, I know I shouldn't swear, so I didn't, but I was in agony, major agony.
right,
So
right.
you say that this is okay. You can make
Well,
a
I mean,
It's like anything else you step on in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Say that.
put us into that category.
okay.
But
All
I'll
right.
say
Well,
this.
listen.
I will say this for the mess that you're describing, that's anything. But I will say this as a mother of four, our house is never silent. It's very rarely without chaos, right? But when we have block time, and I'll say take out the blocks. We're gonna build something with Loam blocks. You have half an hour, build me anything, but you just need to go build something right now. Quietly. And it's silent in our house. And the kids might kind of grumpily go over there and get out the blocks. But within about 60 seconds, they've started thinking and planning and strategizing, and they're excited. And when I say in half an hour, okay, it's time to sit down for dinner, they don't want to come to dinner. They've been silent, they've been creating, they've been enjoying, they've been imaginative, they're playing now. It's the kind of it has been a lifesaver for us. It gives us
Yeah.
just that moment of peace, that moment of creativity, and then we kind of have the energy to kind of go on with the rest of our day and dive into
Sure.
homework or whatever it is later.
Well, I've
And so we're
actually,
grateful.
yeah, Clara, I've actually to kind of riff off that. I remember you had the blocks at our house. I think you were doing some kind of a media thing, and there was a group of boys that was there, some of your boys and other kids, and they were quietly playing for like forever. I mean, it seemed like they were
Yeah.
just kind of playing. I thought, wow, these kids are not saying a word. They weren't watching TV. They weren't on a tablet, nothing like that. They were actually engaged in building with the blocks, and I think that right there was a testament to the what you're talking about. In other
Yeah.
words, when you begin to engage them, and yes, you can obviously there are other ways of creating. You can give them a coloring book or coloring
Yeah.
and drawing or whatever, but the blocks seem to be very. And I think you, Peter, you used the word several times, tactile. I think that's a good word because especially boys. Sorry, Clara, but I think the boys need something to touch and build
And it's in
and
three-dimensional
throw.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we haven't. I think it may go without saying, and we haven't talked about it too much on this call, but there's so much out there to distract your kid, right? We all know that if you need 30 minutes of quiet time, you throw a tablet in front of them or throw the phone in front of them, you're going to get that 30 minutes of quiet, right? And the problem is it's just a distraction. It's not teaching them anything. It's not helping them in any way. It's just giving you 30 minutes of quiet. And I think what's great about these blocks and really any blocks and any kind of play and toy is that this is a really wonderful alternative to potentially get the same outcome of saying, hey, we all need quiet time. Everyone needs quiet time. Kids need quiet time. Parents need quiet time, rather than just feeding them this distraction that doesn't help them and oftentimes will probably hurt them. Let's give them something to play with that they will be engaging their mind and engaging their creativity. And oh wow, by the way, they want to do it, and then 60 minutes goes by and they've been quietly playing, in the living room. I think that's something that we really value, is that alternative to just oh my gosh, my kid won't be quiet, give him a tablet. We're very much we're very much a screen limited family, as much as we possibly can be. And I think this
Dodger,
has been
Dodger, yeah, Dodger
Except the
games
Dodgers.
except for
accepted.
Dodger games, of course.
But by the way, just want I want
There is
to
there is an exception there.
I'm gonna Peter, I'm gonna call you out on this because I know that a couple days ago the Dodgers played 18 innings
Yeah.
and you allowed your children to watch the entire 18 inning game. So
Yeah.
That was a once in a lifetime game, though. That was a once in a lifetime
They've
game.
used
I
up their
know
screen
that
time for the
they're
month, so we've docked them the rest of the month. But yes, you're right. You're calling me out on my Dodgers.
Well, there are moments that it's valuable, right? But we like to use the phrase refreshingly analog. And I think like Peter's saying, there's amusement or entertainment that will entertain us for half an hour, and then we finish and we feel lethargic and uninspired and lazy. And then there are ways that you can really refresh and revive your brain with inspirational beauty or enjoying creativity or admiring something that's, we like good, true, and beautiful, that is going to actually refresh you when you come out of that 30 minutes. And it's a different kid, one that's been watching a show for half an hour versus one that has been creating and imagining for half an hour. And so the kid that's coming out of that half an hour, like that's what we're looking for. And so we've just been grateful for these blocks in our home. And so we're excited to share them.
We're super excited to share them.
I think you're onto something really kind of cool, you guys. And I am curious, how do people find you?
You can find us at our website, loamblocks.com. We also are on the socials at loamblocks. And yeah, you should be able to find us there. Right now, we're starting everything is direct to consumer at this point, but depending on growth and how things go, hopefully we'll be able to get into other avenues to find us and buy our product. But for now, it's loamblocks.com.
And we spell that LOAMBLOCKS.
Yes.
That's right. Loamblocks.com. Perfect.
Okay, well, listen, Peter and Clara Hamilton, thank you very much for sharing your vision, sharing your thoughts about this product. I think it's going to be wildly successful. I'm very proud of you, Pete and Clara, for really pursuing this and just persevering, because this has been a process, an evolutionary process over quite a while. And so
it's been a great learning experience.
I applaud your effort, and yeah, it's been learning experience for you. So good job, and I wish you guys the very, very best.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support.
You're welcome. And friends, those of you listening, I just want to say thank you for tuning into this podcast today. It's been a pleasure having you. Until next time, be well. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Hamilton Review, where kids and culture collide. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day. Tune in again next week on Apple Podcast. Rate and comment and tell a friend.
I think you guys have you're onto something here, and I think this is very exciting, and I'm happy that you're doing it. I'm happy it's finally coming out. I know, Peter, you've been talking about this for quite a while.